We're here at Buckler on Queen West to take a glimpse into their fall-winter collection, and more importantly, to meet with Andrew Buckler himself, the creative mind behind the line and all the creative clothes that you've seen thus far.
At the moment in Canada, this is our only own store, and it's one of our best stores, stores we have. So we love Toronto, we love the store being here.
Amazing.
And the guys in Toronto have, they seem to love us too. So it's a marriage all round.
Well, that's what I want to actually ask you. Why did you pick Toronto? I know you have a shop in London, in New York, and in Toronto. Why not Vancouver or Montreal or some other place like that?
I think what happened was our wholesale we were selling to other stores, and we still do, was so strong in Canada. We thought, well, let's back this up. I mean, there's obviously the Canadians are loving this stuff. Let's go to the middle. Let's hit it in the middle. Toronto was one of our best-selling wholesale accounts, and we were like, let's go into this new area, Queen Street West. At the time when we came, it was still developing. It was still developing, and it's obviously still developing, but it was just everything seemed to, all the stars aligned.
And it was like the birth of the store came.
This used to be a chocolate shop before us, and
we think look that up.
We're still selling chocolate
in the form of clothes. Great. I just want to backtrack a bit. You started your brand in 2001. What was menswear like back then? What prompted you to actually make a move into menswear?
At that time, originally we started with just denim, really, and it was a particular kind of fit of denim we did. It was a very skinny-fitting, low-rise boot-cut jean, which at that time for guys there wasn't that much around. It was kicking off for women, and a lot of forward-thinking fashion guys couldn't get that. They were buying women's wear, which is not,
because the cuts are the crotch is a little bit.
It didn't really work. So I came up with a jean then called Sexy Bastard, funny enough.
That's where the underwear line is an extension from.
It kind of, everything grew from there. We called it Sexy Bastard because we were trying to find a way that most guys could identify with, because everybody was so used to wearing like loose-fitting, slouchy-fitting jeans. How do you describe to most guys suddenly putting on a skinny-fitting jean? Let's make it sound a little bit humorous, a little bit sexy without it sounding feminine. Sexy Bastard was born.
Fair enough, that works.
And that's how it started. And then basically what we did with that was, we were doing so well with that design and that fit, we started extending it into other fits, and then we started introducing t-shirts, shirts, jackets, and we then built this whole wardrobe. And then we started doing our own stores in New York. And then that opened up a whole different ballgame, doing your own stores.
So how would you describe the shift in menswear from when you first started your brand to how it's evolved today? Because living in Toronto, I think menswear is still on the up and coming. It hasn't really been established as strongly as in other cities such as New York and London. It's still an upcoming market. But in your experience of running the brand, how has menswear really evolved? Has it become more exciting? Have things changed or evolved, or
they definitely
are still as conservative as ever?
I think they are, but I would say a little bit differently to how you've said it. I think guys in Toronto are actually more ahead than other cities in some ways. And we see this with our products. Some of the designs that we do that are a little more pushing the envelope, guys in Toronto pick that up more so than maybe in other cities. So I don't know what you guys are drinking over here, or reading, but it's definitely being absorbed quite quicker. And much more in a European sense. We find that the American guys tend to be far more interested in very minimal, traditional masculine. We find that our Canadian guys definitely will push the envelope a little bit. If they like something that's a little bit different, or there's some kind of extension of a detail, it doesn't bother them at all. They'll go for it. They'll go for it. you know, which is great from a design perspective, because then it means you can actually put design into the clothing. So from that point of view, I'd say like Toronto guys are flying the flag. Continuing on the thought, there's definitely more interest in menswear. I think if you look at the magazines that are out there right now for menswear, the more guys that are on the internet that are reading what's going on, whether it's style.com, guys are getting fed a lot more information than they were before, and it's becoming far more interesting for them to absorb this.
Yeah.
And even if they might not realize that they're going out and this is influencing it, it does. It means when you go out to those stores, you're like, oh, that connects.
They're starting. Well, we were just having a conversation earlier. There used to be a time when men were mannequin shoppers. What they saw on the mannequin was essentially what they bought, and I think people are starting to piece fashion together more so. Is that something that you agree with?
Definitely.
Like they're taking elements from different places and piecing it all together versus I see that guy dressed in this, I want it head to toe, and I just want that look. Whereas how it used to be previously very prescriptive.
I think there's still very much it's kind of product driven in a sense. I think we've moved away to a certain extent from like the whole sort of Versace head to toe. I think the old school designer way of walking into a shop and buying it all as one. And I think that's what's going on in this street. You've got all these great menswear stores around here, and you've got a guy coming in getting a pair of jeans from one, going down and getting a brilliant shirt from another, and they're quite confident of bringing it all together.
That's actually very refreshing to hear, because I think a lot of people have a conception about menswear. I represent Toronto, and I represent the Toronto menswear scene, so it's very, very refreshing from an outside point of view to get something like that, especially coming from somebody who's living in New York. So that's kudos to Toronto. I want to also ask you, well, given that your fall winter line has been released, what was the inspiration for your fall winter line?
That was that collection. We were very much based upon, I call it, sort of urban arts, formerly known as graffiti or whatever. A lot of these incredible artists from Banksy that brought to the forefront painting in the streets or creating art in the streets. It's so much more interesting now than it ever was, and it's right on the top of everybody's tongues when they're talking about it. That was the inspiration behind the collection, not necessarily the art itself.
Okay.
The artists themselves, what they might wear, how does it go together, the use of colour, how it blends in with the urban environment, and that's what kind of helped.
It's the usage of the clothing rather than... That totally makes sense. I was looking at the book, and I'm noticing that another great feature for this year's collection are still the drop crotch, or the low crotch pants. And the other one that I really liked was the Peacoat collaborations that you did. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. What would be some of the quintessential pieces that you'd say would be iconic for your collection in the fall winter? What are your favorites?
My favorites. We've got this great coat, 3/4 length coat, that we've done it in wool and we've done it in canvas, and it's almost like an oversized biker jacket with the zips down the front. It's a great piece, it's very unstructured, it's got a great hood on it. That's one of my favourite pieces. We've also got a brilliant leather jacket that is bonded with wool, with raw seams. That's another of my... There's so many pieces of my favourites. I'm getting all excited.
That's one of the things that I actually love about your collections, having seen them over year after year, are the attention to detail. You could take a coat, and then you could take a buckler coat, and just the attention to detail, from button aesthetics to just the stitching on the collar to little loops on the neck. It's absolutely stunning the amount of detail that actually goes into your work. So I definitely look forward to the fall winter collection, as and when it hits the store, because we've been waiting and anticipating it for a very long time. So it'll be amazing to see that. And once again, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.